Hello guys, in today's YouTube video I'm gonna give you all of the information that I wish I would have had back when I was a teenager. I'm gonna give you all of the information that you need in order to turn yourself into a financial genius and hopefully reach all of your financial goals in your life. Today's video can also be really helpful if you are a younger person who's looking for financial advice or if you are a beginner at investing. So if you are one of those types of people, then please watch the video because you will most likely learn something that is very useful. Investing and getting rich may seem like something that only a very few people can do, and it also seems to be really complicated. However, that's actually not completely true. In today's day and age, investing and getting rich is actually not that complicated at all. You just need a little bit of financial education. And if you start at a young age, well, then you have the highest possible chance of actually succeeding. So in today's video, I'm going to take you from a beginner at investing or someone who has never invested before and give you the tools and what you need in order to become a good investor and earn money from it. I'm going to divide today's video up in 4 different levels, and you must complete the previous level before you can move on to the next level. That is how you are able to reach the highest potential return on your investment. As I said before, then the earlier you start, the better off you are. And the reason for that is due to something known as compound interest. I'm going to give you an example of just how powerful compound interest actually is. If you only were to invest $300 per month consistently over the next 50 years, which means from now and until you retire, you will actually have $2,079,643,000 in your bank account. And let's compare this number to if you didn't invest but you only put those $300 into your bank account every month. Then you would have exactly $180,300. So that only shows the true power of investing, and it is extremely powerful. The example that I just gave assumes an annual return of 8% on average, which is sort of like pretty low compared to what the market usually returns with. The market return for the S&P 500 index during the last 50 years has been between 8 to 10% per year. So 8% is something that is within reach for everyone. Before we talk about the 4 levels that you can go through in order to become the best potential investor you can be, then I would highly encourage you to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. With that being said, then let's start talking about level number 1. So at level number 1, we are assuming that you are a teenager and that you have $100 available. Now with this $100, you have several options. You could, for example, invest these $100 into the stock market and potentially earn an extra few $100 over the next couple of months, or you could end up losing your entire investment. I would actually not recommend putting these $100 into the stock market when you are a teenager and when you are completely new to investing. What I would recommend doing with these $100 is actually spend them on something that is far more valuable to you, and that is called financial education. It might sound extremely boring, and it most likely also will be. However, the importance of it cannot be stressed enough. It is said that if you can't manage a small proportion of money, then you have no chance of managing a large proportion of money. And I do believe that this saying is completely true. We've seen multiple times that people have been rewarded a large sum of money for some random reason, and they just go out and spend all of it. And you would most likely do the same thing if you are not financially educated. Therefore, the first step towards reaching your financial dreams is, of course, getting some kind of financial education and being somehow financial literate. I do, of course, also have a few suggestions on how you can get financial literate. And the first example I have is that you go out and you spend your first $100 on buying this book here. This book is called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it is made by Robert Kiyosaki. Basically, this book is a book that anyone can read. It is very simple, and it's going to teach you everything that you need to know about how to manage your money. The second book that I would highly recommend is called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.C. Collins. This book is very similar to the first book, and it's going to teach you how the stock market works, how personal finances work, and basically it's going to teach you how to think about money and, more importantly, how to grow your money. The third book is called The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. This book is a bit more complicated than the other two. However, it does give a really good understanding of how to invest in the stock market and how to make your money grow over time in the stock market. It is also going to teach you how to beat 90% of professional investors out there. So if you do have a bit of understanding about the financial markets, then I would highly encourage you to read this book. That basically concludes level number 1. And level number 1 was basically about investing into yourself and getting financial knowledge and getting financial literate. Because that is very, very important in order to make your money grow over time, and it is important to become the investor that you want to be in the future. So moving on to level number 2. Level number 2 is when you start to understand the true value of time and the true value of money. This is also a point in your life when you are kind of young. And at this point in your life, I would of course recommend that you go out there and you try as many things as possible. Eventually you will find something that you really like to do, and that is when you start to develop and understand what your passion actually is. Once you find that true thing that you really like to do and you start to get good at it, you will most likely at some point in your life be able to make money from that one thing. Because in today's world you can basically make money from anything. It doesn't matter whether it's gaming that you're good at, whether it's music, digital products, arts, whatever it is, you can basically monetize it and make money from it. Finding your true passion does also help to understand who you are as a person, and it also helps you to understand what it is that you should spend the rest of your life doing. Therefore, I would truly recommend that you go out there and you try as much as possible. This is also a point in your life where I would personally recommend that you go out and you get your first job. You need to understand what it's like to work for money, and you need to understand how it feels to get paid for doing some work. It is also important that you do get some money, and therefore you have the opportunity to spend or save and do whatever it is that you want to do with this money. It also makes perfect sense that if you want to reach your financial dreams, well, then you shouldn't be dependent on your parents' income for the rest of your life. You should start to make some of your own money and do something by yourself. Therefore, I would also highly recommend that at this point in your life, you start to go out there and get a job. That basically summarizes level number 2, which is all about finding your true passion, but also start to make those first couple of dollars. So now I'm going to talk about level number 3. When you are 18 years old, you are basically reaching level number 3, or you should be at least. And when you turn 18, there are some really important things that you must do. The first thing that you want to do when you turn 18 is open a bank account in your own name. And you do of course want to deposit some of your money from your job, for example, into this bank account. What you should try to find is a bank that does offer a positive interest rate. Let's say that you find a bank that offers a positive interest rate of 2% and you have $1,000 that you deposit into this bank. Well, then you're basically getting paid $20 within the first year just for opening a bank account and putting your $1,000 in there. So basically you don't have to work for these $20 at all. And the best thing is that you're going to get it again the year after. This is what is called passive income, and basically this will allow you to earn money while you sleep. And trust me, it feels great when you're able to make money without doing any work actually. Therefore, I would highly recommend to open a bank. However, there's also several other reasons as to why you should open a bank account that I'm going to go over very soon. The second thing that you should do when you turn 18 is get your first credit card. Getting a credit card is also extremely important, but what is even more important is actually using this credit card every single month. What that does is that it helps to build your credit score, and that is something that you're going to need later in your life. Therefore, getting started by getting that credit score going is extremely important. When you start getting a credit card and you start using it, the bank has a chance to see just how responsible you actually are with money. And when they know that you are a responsible person when it comes to handling money and paying your bills on time and so on, well, then they are much more likely to give you a loan when you want to buy a house or a car, for example, at a much more attractive interest rate than if they don't have any information on you at all. Therefore, it is highly recommended that you get a credit card as soon as possible and you start using this card in order for the banks to know just how responsible and how good you are with your money. When it comes to building your credit score, it's not that complicated at all. You can basically put $20 on there every single month and just use those $20. You don't need to spend a large amount of money in order to build up your credit score. You just need to use your card consistently and do it well. That's all you need to do. What you should aim for is a credit score of at least 750, and that on average takes around 7 months to do. However, it can of course also be done much faster than that. But that is the score that you should aim for, and it's super easy to get if you just do what I just told you consistently over time. Then you will get there 100%. The third thing that you want to do when you turn 18 is open a retirement account. This may seem like something you're doing way ahead of time, and it's only money that you think you're going to need much later in your life. However, there is a completely different reason as to why I do believe it is super important to open a retirement account. Basically, you should see a retirement account as a savings account. However, instead of having your cash in this savings account, well, then you have your stocks on this savings account or retirement account. And the reason for that is because there are tax benefits of having your stocks there instead of having it on your traditional savings account. When it comes to open a retirement account, you basically have two options if you live in the US. You can either open a traditional retirement account, or you can open what is called a Roth IRA. And basically the tax benefits of these accounts are a bit different. When it comes to the traditional retirement account, then you're basically paying no taxes now, but you are paying taxes when you are withdrawing your money from this retirement account. If you open a Roth IRA, well, then you're basically paying your taxes now, but when you take your money out of the retirement account, you're not paying any taxes at all. And that is the difference between the two. When it comes to retirement accounts, there is a maximum amount of money that you can deposit into your retirement account every single year. And that amount of money that you can deposit is depending on your net income, because you are allowed to deposit 8% of your net income into your retirement accounts. So the higher amount of money that you get every single month, the higher amount of money can you deposit into your retirement account. Now I'm going to give you an example of why I do believe it is super important to start at a very young age with opening a retirement account and start using it actively. Because if we do assume that you start a retirement account when you are 18, and we also assume that you are allowed to put $6,000 on this retirement account for the first 4 years, so until you are 22 basically, and then for the rest of your life until you retire at 76, you don't deposit a single dollar in here. And we do assume that there is an average growth on your retirement account of 8%, as in the first example where I said that's pretty reasonable because the S&P have on average increased by 8 to 10% per year. We take the same growth rate here, which is the 8%. So by only doing that, you will actually end up with having $766,000 when you turn 76 years old. And that is an absolute insane return for only depositing something onto your bank account for the first 4 years of your working life. That is why I say you should start early. I'm now going to give you an example where you don't start at 18, but you start when you are 32 years old, just to show you how big of a difference it actually makes to start early. If you don't start before you turn 31 years old and you do the exact same as in the last example with depositing 4 years in a row and then none after that, you will only end up having $260,800 when you turn 76 years old. So by starting those 14 years early, you will actually have 2.5 times more money than you would have otherwise. Therefore, it is super important to start early. And the reason for this massive difference is due to what is known as compound interest. So level 3 is a bit more technical than the other 2 levels, because there is basically a bunch of things that you have to do when you turn 18. But this is also the point in your life when you should start to take things seriously. So I guess it makes sense that you have to do a bit more when you turn 18. So that basically sums up level number 3, and level number 3 was a bit more complicated than the previous 2 because you had to open a bank account, you needed a credit card, and you need to open a retirement account. So there's basically a bit more things that you have to do. However, those things are extremely important for setting yourself up for financial success in the future. Therefore, I would highly recommend that you spend a lot of time doing these things when you turn 18 years old. If you are older than 18 and you're watching this video and you're thinking, oh fuck, I haven't done that yet, then don't worry, just start doing it today because you're basically losing money for not doing this. So moving on to level number 4. Level number 4 is basically where it gets really fun, but also really complicated for a lot of people, because this is the level where I would recommend that you start investing. And the reason why this level gets really complicated for so many people is because there are so many options when it comes to investing. You can buy into millions of different stocks, you can buy NFTs, you can buy cryptos, and you can buy a bunch of other things for investing purposes. However, I'm now going to go over what I would personally do if I were 18. One of the benefits that you have over other investors is that you have time on your side. Because you are so young, then you basically have the possibility to experience hopefully more market cycles than other people do. And that is something that you should use to your benefit, because time in the market is extremely important when it comes to successful investing over long term. It is also said that between the age of 18 to 30 years old is the most important years financially of your entire life. And this is the point in your life when you should start to set yourself apart from others if you do want to reach your financial dreams. And therefore, I would highly recommend that you get started early by investing. However, I still think it's the best idea that you go through the 3 previous levels before you actually start investing into the stock market. When you turn 18 or when you are in your mid-20s, you basically don't have a large proportion of money compared to people who's in their late 40s, 50s and whatever there is. So what I would personally do when it comes to investing is I would go the safe route. I would basically put my money into things like the S&P 500 index that on average for the last 50 years have given a return between 8 to 10%. The S&P 500 index has actually beaten 90% of all investors out there. So you are basically beating hedge fund managers, professional investors and whatever there is by only buying this index. But another reason as to why I believe it's super good idea to buy the S&P 500 index or just indexes in general when you are starting to invest is, as I said before, because you don't have the largest amount of money. When you don't have the largest amount of money, it is extremely hard to diversify your portfolio. Because in order to diversify your portfolio, you must buy a ton of different stocks in different sectors, in different industries and so on. And buying these stocks is extremely expensive. Therefore, by buying an index fund, you actually get exposed to all of the 500 companies there is within the S&P 500 index. And that alone offers a really good diversification at a very attractive price. And that is why I do believe that investing into things like the S&P 500 index or other index funds is the best idea that you can have when you turn 18. It is basically the best investment that you can do, in my opinion. And it doesn't really matter if you're 18 or if you are a beginner at investing or whatever it is, then I would highly recommend that you do that. So that basically sums up all of the information that I wish I would have had back when I was a teenager. Back when I was a teenager, I jumped straight to level number 4 and I started investing a ton of money into these high-tech, high-valued, high-risk companies. And I ended up losing a ton of money actually doing that. But if I had followed these levels instead of just jumping straight to level number 4, I don't think I would have lost the same amount of money. Therefore, I would highly recommend that you don't make the same mistake as I do, but you go through these levels and you take your time at each and every single level in order to turn out to be the best investor that you can possibly be. That was all I had in today's YouTube video. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, then please press the like button below the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. See you in the next one.